Welcome to r/Prorevenge. Have a story of you or someone you know getting back at someone with pro-revenge after being wronged? Post it here. From Oregon Lost. So I was hunting for a rental house for Valentine's Day weekend and wasn't finding much. So I popped into the local Craigslist page and found a place at a decent but very believable price. No contact info or website, so I emailed through the Craigslist reply. Everything sounds legit up until he asked me to pay using Zelle or bank transfer. Immediately knew it was a scam, but I played along acting confused because I've never used Zelle. He sends me the Zelle info to send payment. At this point I reverse image search the cabin to find the actual property owner info and call him. He confirmed that he has had this scam happen before, and angry people show up expecting a rental that is already legitimately reserved and demanding a refund. I give him the links and info to the fake's Craigslist posting so he can report it. So now I have confirmed that this is 100% a scam, so I decide to have a go at this guy to see how far I can get. After a few more confused sounding emails regarding how to get the money over to him via Zelle, I sent him the request, but instead of paying him, I sent it as a request for payment. I sent a few more messages saying it's not going through, and then I get a notification saying a payment has been received. Sure enough, he approved my payment request and sent me the money he was trying to get me to send him. So I had over $400 sitting in my Zelle account from a guy in Nigeria who was trying to scam me out of my romantic weekend. From Amber Katie May. So when I was 15, I was diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia. Now, despite what TV shows and movies portray it, not all schizophrenia are serial killers. If you can keep your medication in balance, you can live a perfect normal life. From the age of 15 to 20, it was rather hard as we tried to find the right balance of medication for me. But it's been 11 years since I was first diagnosed, and it's been 6 years since I have had any really bad symptoms. There's been a few minor issues when my meds would go out of balance, but nothing too extreme. Anyway, this happened 3 years ago. I just moved into a new apartment with two roommates. We will call them Zach and Rachel. Yes, those are their real names, cause F them. Anyways, due to my illness, I take multiple medication. Antipsychotic, antidepressants, and anti-anxiety medication, to name a few. These are all rather strong medications. So when I moved in and got settled in, I started to notice that some of my meds were going missing. I have my pills counted out and ready, so I know exactly how many I have. I immediately suspect my roommates, as they are the only ones with access to my room. I also know for a fact they took other medications to get high. They were pretty open about it. But I had no proof, and I didn't want to risk peeing them off as I had to live with them. So I looked past it, hoping it was a one-time thing. But it wasn't. After a few days of this, I lost it and confronted them. They denied it, of course, and I have no proof. I even got a lock for my room, but somehow they still managed to get in. So here is where the revenge starts. So due to all my medication, I get constipated a lot. I have very strong laxatives I take when this happens. They are tiny pinkish pills. If you don't know about medication, you could easily mistake these for something else. One morning before heading to work, I took my antipsychotic pill bottles and switched out the pills for my laxatives. And then I left. When I came home that evening, both my roommates were in the washrooms. I asked Rachel what was wrong, and she made up some bullcrap food poisoning excuse. They spent the whole night in and out of the bathrooms. My medication stopped disappearing after that night. From Not a Bad Guy 3. So I moved into a 4-bedroom uni house. I knew two of my housemates, let's call them Abby and Ben. Due to unfortunate circumstances, our previously planned housemate didn't live with us, so we found a new one, called Chloe. Chloe is a horrible housemate. This becomes apparent when they never paid bills or rent on time, smokes like a chimney inside, against our agreement, leaves home for a few days, leaving a big pile of washing up for us to do, including our pots and pans, screamed gaming on their laptop all the way till 5 AM, walls are thin, just to name a few things. Basically, they suck. So it gets till about 4 months in, we can't stand Chloe, so we have a house meeting. Basically, we sit there and try to explain how we would prefer they didn't scream at their laptop, I assume gaming, until 5 AM every night, as all of us get up early. Everything we bring up, Chloe denied it. We have each lent Chloe a month's rent and bills too, and Chloe hasn't paid any of us back, over $1,000 between us. Chloe denied it, saying, I don't owe you. This point, me, Abby, and Ben are all pretty peed. Then a few weeks later was Saturday night, and being students, Abby and Ben and me invited friends round for pre-drinks. We asked Chloe first, and they said they'd be out, so it's fine. Turns out they finished work early, so they came home and were shocked to find people there. Went up to their room. They kept coming down and turning the music down. It wasn't even loud in the first place. Chloe got so angry and threw my speaker out the window. I didn't see Chloe do it, but loads of people told me so. I'd had enough. I went to get my speaker. Chloe came with me to my surprise. And as Chloe left in full visibility of me, keyed my car parked in the driveway. I got up with my speaker and shouting as she walked off. Luckily, we have an automatic light on the side of the house, and a car was driving down the road at the time and the driver said they had a dash cam and probably caught it out the window to me. I stopped shouting in disbelief and gave him my email address. Went about my night enjoying the party. When it was time to leave, a lot of us hadn't finished our alcohol, so we left it on the kitchen table and left. When we got back the next day and had sobered up in the morning, we found all the alcohol had been taken, along with the speaker, some headphones, and my laptop. Now I was really peed. The revenge. I logged into my housemate's laptop on my email. This guy had pulled through, sent me a small clip of Chloe keying the car along with several close-up stills showing the key in contact. I first confronted Chloe asking if they knew where my stuff was, while Abby and Ben secretly recorded on their phones. Things got heated and they looked like they were going to fight me. I'm a big guy, 6'4", and I'm really not scared. I'm basically just peeing Chloe off. Chloe then swung her fists at me a few times, making contact. I didn't fight back. I put my hands and arms over my head and face. Chloe then stomps off, thinking they won. Let me remind you, Abby and Ben were recording. I call the police. They show up. I basically say I have good reason to believe Chloe stole my alcohol and other possessions. They go up and knock on Chloe's door. Go away. They can't go in without a search warrant. I file a report about assault and the things stolen relating to the two. The police are very nice and basically tell me how to fill it all in. They come back the next day with a warrant for Chloe's arrest for assault and battery. They then search her room and find all the stolen alcohol bottles, my headphones, which clearly were mine as they only paired with my phone, and my laptop and damaged speaker. I sued Chloe and won. I had indisputable evidence along with witnesses for all the events. I got $3,000 for the car, speaker, and rent Chloe owed us, and an additional $5,000. Chloe went to prison for resisting arrest, assaulting an officer, assault, destruction of property, theft, and battery. Chloe still had to pay rent for her room, which we used as a gym. From Serene Phoenix, 89. So I was reminded of this when an old school bully found me on Facebook the other day. I apologise for the length of this story and will put a too long didn't read at the end. Now, before I became friendly, cookie-loving teddy bear, I was a thin, mean little theatre goth who got into frequent fights. It's what happens when you're black, nerdy and gay while growing up in rural Virginia. I especially could not stand it when people pick on my friends. In comes the evil cheerleader. We'll call her B. Now some of you might be rolling your eyes at this. Evil cheerleader? Oh no, what a terrible cliche. But our school was a little different. You see, she was the only evil cheerleader. The rest of the team was super nice and did a lot of inter-school outreach. Anyways, B liked to stomp through the hallways like she owned the place and would viciously bully anyone who even looked at her wrongly. Naturally, my confrontational butt would stare at her like she was a bug every time I saw her. Up to that point, she had only had beef with me. We'd trade insults, she'd start a rumour about me, I'd pour soda on her hair, that sort of thing. Then she saw me with one of my shy theatre friends, who we'll call Kay. I was more than B's match, so she instead chose to go after Kay. Kay was a wonderful human, never said a bad word about anyone, was always willing to help people, and she made the best s'mores cookies. Kay also had the unfortunate habit of letting people treat her however they wanted to and not saying anything about it. So imagine my sheer fury when I see B slamming Kay against the locker by her hair, calling her the N-word. You want to try to bully me? Fine. You want to call me outside my name? Fine. What you will not do is come after my friends with racism and violence. Not today, baby girl. I immediately ran over and slapped B as hard as I could. Now, due to my height and ethnicity, I've been taught that I shouldn't start physical altercations with women as it never looks good. I cared just enough not to deck that cunt. As B was picking her face off the floor, she thought it'd be a good idea to double down on the racism. B. All your N-words are wife beaters. Me. Come again? I slapped you because you were hurting my friend. The hell is wrong with you? B. She stole something from me like the dirty monkey she is. Me. Again, what the hell is wrong with you? Her insults weren't really making sense. Looking back, I think she was just trying to say the most racially offensive thing she could think of without any real consideration of reality, which is just terrible roasting technique. Me. You know what? I have less than 0 F's to give about you right now. You come near my friends again and I will literally snatch your uterus out with my bare hands. B. We'll see what my boyfriend says about that. Me. Oh no, not your boyfriend. She walked away, spitting more bullcrap, but at that point I chose to ignore her and focus on Kay, who had a small knot forming on her forehead. I took Kay to the nurse's office and begged her to report B. Kay didn't want to because I might get in trouble too. I told her I didn't care. Slapping that bitch was worth it. But Kay didn't budge. After Kay got an ice pack, we were both sent back to class, and the rest of the day went on as usual. After school, I was on my way to anime club. Yes, I'm a weeb. And who would show up? But B's boyfriend. We'll call him Bob. Now, Bob was a soft-spoken guy who only got cool points because he was on the football team. Peel off the football team luster, and you have a walking, talking doormat who's about as intimidating as a medicated cotton ball. So him and his boys waltz up on me, spitting some wannabe threatening line about making me disappear. I informed him that I own waterfront property on the Wish Island because I wish a bitch would. His friends laughed at him, which exasperated the snot out of me. Most punks are all talk. You stand your ground and they'll back off, unless they have their friends with them. The moment they'll lose face in front of their crew, they become much more likely to do something stupid. So of course, he rushes me. Now I've got something of a conundrum. I'm scrappy, but I'm by no means badass. There are 5 of them and 1 of me, so if I can drop this dude, I have to be able to either put on a good show so they don't engage, or run. Considering I was extra AF, I decided to put on a show. I used Bob's momentum and I slammed him hard into a nearby locker, putting my forearm on his throat. Now I don't remember what threat I whispered to Bob, but I'm going to assume it was effective because he went still. Now what I do remember was what happened next. Now due to how I was holding him against the locker, our bodies were pretty close. Too close, because I felt something press against my thigh. Now I'm thinking it's a weapon, or a phone or something. Nope, it was his erection. Homeboy was aroused. Why? No clue. All I do know was that things had gotten really awkward. I let him go and we tailed it out of there because I'm equal parts what the F and did this really just happen? During anime club I told Kay all about what happened. She laughed because of course she did, but then a look crept in her eye. It was this devious little smirk that I'd never seen up until that point. She looked at me and told me that if we wanted to, we could use this to teach B a lesson. I'm thinking she meant like a rumour or using this to insult her, but no, Kay had something far more worse in mind. It's true what they say about the quiet ones. So after a few days and some additional planning, it was time to put our revenge into motion. I found Bob and asked to speak with him privately, so we went to the spare classroom that the school never really uses. After some back and forth, Bob confirmed that he was bisexual. Some cringe-worthy flirting later, Bob and I are making out, all according to plan. B would walk in, see us, and be humiliated. Now I do want to mention that hindsight is 2020. We were teenagers and didn't really understand how problematic this plan was on a social scale. B deserves some karmatic justice, but this really shouldn't have been it. That being said, Bob was an eager beaver. He didn't stop at just making out. He went down south, if you catch my meaning. Me being hormonal and admittedly starved for a little attention, really didn't see any reason to stop him. So when Kay led B into the room, she got to see Bob's head, well, bobbing, and me with a contented smile on my face. Now to B's credit, she was not homophobic towards Bob in any way. In that highly problematic situation, she had plenty of opportunity. She was, however, furious at him cheating on her with one of her sworn enemies, and an N-word to boot. She screamed at him for almost 15 minutes before a teacher came by and demanded that we head to class. Later, B found me at lunch and called a ceasefire of sorts. She agreed to only target me if I agreed to stay away from Bob. I agreed, knowing full well that Bob was coming over to my house that afternoon. B and I would continue to antagonize each other until I moved away, but it was never as severe. In some ways I think we kind of broke her confidence a little. Oh well, don't be a racist cunt, and people won't want to get back at you. Too long didn't read. Cheerleader is a bully and a racist. I seduce her boyfriend and have her walk in, giving me an oral presentation. And that was r/Prorevenge. Make sure to leave a like on this video if you liked it, make sure to subscribe if you're new here, and make sure to turn on that notification bell so that you never miss any of my future uploads.